sad, happy, stressed, concerned, all of those things, they're just describer words. Those aren't feelings. That's just a description, a very high-level description. Let's talk about your feelings. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl, Lori. And it is the day before, well, I guess it is. Friday to me starts the weekend. So let's say it's Labor Day weekend here in the States. So I am really happy because that means the fall is coming. And your girl is one of those people who are super extra with the fall, and I love it. And so let's talk about that. That's a feeling for me, right? And I've done a podcast on it. I've done a whole series here on YouTube on feelings, but it's always good to do a little brush up just to remind you, to kind of condense it there for you in like 10, 15 minutes. So the big thing for you is to understand that a describer word is not the actual description. Okay, so for example, anger is not a true emotion. Nope. Anger comes from three places and three places only. Anything that you're angry about can roll into one or all three of these at the same time. That's fear, frustration, or hurt. That's all it is. So, okay, so you're like, okay, so I'm angry. No, you're not. Now, first you have to analyze what that is. So a lot of times you'll be like, well, how do you feel? Angry? Well, that doesn't tell me anything. Right. Frustrated. Okay. Talk to me about how you feel frustrated. Let's say you're like, okay, I feel like I want to jump out of my skin when I'm anxious. Or I feel like I have a heavy weighted blanket on me if I'm feeling depressed. Or I feel like, oh my gosh, that I could just like totally go on top of the world right now. I'm very light. I feel like energetic. I can feel it in my body. Now you're feeling your feelings. To describe your feelings, it's great to have like an overall label to them, but you have to understand there isn't, like if you said angry or you said happy or you said ecstatic or whatever, different things are going to give that emotion to different people. It's not a golden standard. So that's something for you to keep in mind, because very often you'll get in that headspace of going, oh, well, I don't understand why they feel that way. You don't have to. Feelings aren't facts. You guys know this. Feelings are not facts. They're just your perceptions based on experience, based on some levels of maybe phobias, various things like that. Okay. So that's why you have to get really in depth as to what that feels like for you. Because if not, you're just sitting there going, God, I don't even understand my own feelings, which by the way, is not abnormal. So there may be a time where you're like, I just don't understand my feelings. Okay, well, let's sit with them. And that's where you don't go on your socials all the time. Don't try to busy yourself around the house. Don't try to run out with the friends and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, do those things, but don't do those things to escape. And that is the biggest thing, is to not do things as an escape, to not feel your feelings. Listen, nobody said it's a cakewalk. Obviously, if things are going good, you're like, oh my God, it's great. I got so much done. I feel so lovely. Great, you can feel those feelings. But you don't realize it. You think, oh, you don't want to. You wanna. Because healing is always inside out, not outside in. And you have to remember that. So you pretending that the big pink elephant in the corner doesn't exist doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means it's there looming. You know, if you're trying to always run from your feelings and always run from yourself, you're going to constantly feel as though because anywhere you go, there you are. So let's be clear with that. You could go to Zimbabwe, you could go to Paris, you could go to Alaska, you could go anywhere you wanted. But guess what? There you are. Stop trying to run from yourself. You can move, you can buy things, you can do all of the above. You're still you. You still have things to deal with. You got to stop replacing it, which is the whole concept of minimalism, right? It's like, take away that. I was talking about decision fatigue the other day. It takes away that decision fatigue, right? If you have something that has 97 different options, you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. Right. So you take away all of that stressor. You take away those stressors by limiting what those options are. However, to talk about the feeling state of it, you have to sit with it, right? You have to feel the discomfort. So let's say you're in the middle of an anxiety attack. People don't die from anxiety attacks. Just feels like you're gonna. I know sometimes for me, it's like I can't swallow or I can't get that deep breath. If you go, oh, you get that kind of relief breath. A lot of times with anxiety, you won't. You'll feel numb. Your face can go numb. You can feel like you're gonna vomit. You can feel like you're gonna go to the bathroom. Your hands can get tingly. Like there's a lot that goes on. The deal, though, is to not fight that. See, what you resist persists. Let me explain. If you keep pretending that something isn't there, it's going to keep nagging you. Just because you pretend that doesn't exist doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so being able to sit with yourself and analyze it and not feel sorry for yourself and not judge yourself. I'm not saying you're not going to have your woe is me pity days. Have a little pity party from time to time. Don't live in the pity party. There's no productivity there. So you want to make sure that when you're sitting, you're like, okay, well, how do I feel? This is how I feel. And you always have to remind yourself, feelings aren't facts. It's valid. My feelings are valid to me, not to the world. My feelings are valid to me. But now you have to ask yourself, is it true? So it's kind of like if you said, everybody at work hates me. Is that true? Yes. How do you know? Did they tell you they hated you? Well, no, I can just tell. Okay, so now you're assuming, and now you're in the feeling state again. And now you're paranoid because it's the issue that you had in the job prior. And they were sneaky, and this is how now you feel. It's not a fact. So a good way to analyze yourself is like, okay, I feel this way, acknowledge it, validate it for yourself. That's why those 5 journals are super helpful. And then go, okay, now, is this a feeling I like? If it's a feeling you like, great, do more of that. If it's not broken, don't fix it, right? If you see a feeling that works for you, you're like, ooh, let's research that. Let's drill down to see how that's working. Let's do more of that. If it isn't, then you don't just sit there and go, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. Can't. I mean, you can. It's not productivity. There's no productivity there. So you have to be really, really careful of falling down that trap, right? And that's why you have to say, okay, well, I'm here now. What am I going to do with it? The hand that you were dealt may not be your responsibility, or maybe you just totally screwed the whole pooch on that one. And maybe it was your issue. Okay, it isn't now. You're here now. Yeah, some things may linger. Some things may have a longer term effect. You can still change that up. You can still switch that whole flip. And flip that whole switch, not switch that flip. Flip that switch, right? And that's why you have to be confident in your feelings. So sit with yourself. You feel like you can't breathe? Good, sit with it. You're fine. You're okay. You're all right. Journal this stuff down. If you feel angry, here's the reality. It doesn't matter that you're mad at somebody. They're going to live their best life. They're not going to lose sleep over it. They're going to go do their thing. And so that's where you have to say, okay, where's my resistance? Where's my ego? Because that's ego. Where is my ego resisting? Go back to the ego death series here on YouTube that I did. Where is it that I'm resisting? My ego is resisting releasing. And again, you're not permitting something. You're freeing yourself up. So, but you're not going to know all of that until you start feeling your internal feelings. If you feel sad and you just feel like, oh my God, I feel it. It's like heavy. I feel like everything is just heavy. Good. Articulate it. Feel it. When you feel it, now you can identify it. Because very often, you're misrepresenting your own feelings. You're like, I'm so angry. No, you're frustrated. Oh, I'm so mad. You're hurt. I'm so mad. You're in fear. So be clear with yourself as to what your feelings are. And happy and all those things, that's going to fluctuate from time to time. Because what makes you happy today may not make you happy tomorrow. What made me happy 20 years ago definitely doesn't, not everything, like outside, sure. But like going out, doing all of these things, it doesn't really make me happy anymore. It's like I just go and do me. And that's what you have to understand is that's going to come with evolution. So don't think that you're just stuck either if you're like, God, I don't like doing that anymore. Okay, well, don't keep doing the same things that don't bring joy. Stop doing things that don't bring you joy. I mean, some things you gotta do. Pay taxes, go to work, got it. But I mean, like, stop just saying, oh, well, this is just how it is. It's too late for me. No such thing as it being too late. Stop it. Stop it right now. So your little call to action at the end of this week, heading into what is the Labor Day weekend for us here, is that it's a great time to start feeling your feelings. Journal them in those 5 journals. Sit with those journals, feel those feelings, let the discomfort come. Nothing ever grows in the comfort zone.